Good morning. Good morning. I'm Jamal Brown. I'm here with my man Robert Samo from FanBoyNation, and this is I the Creative, a show that focuses on creatives of all types, fashion designers, bloggers, interviewers, whatever you do, we'll cover it because we want to know what gave you your creative spark. So we're here with Robert. Good morning, Robert.
Good morning, Jamal, man. Good to see you again.
Good to see you as well. So I got you here because FanBoyNation, I noticed that you do you're like a film critic.
Yeah, I'm part of the Critics' Choice Association and the International Animation Film Association.
What got you started with that?
Oh, man. I went to journalism school and got my bachelor's degree in journalism, and I was originally going to cover hard news, so like politics, war, stuff like that. And my dad looked at me and he said, "What are you, stupid?" I said, "Why?" He's like, "We're from the Middle East. We're not Arab. We're not Jewish. We're not Muslim. You know, the first one that they're going to send to the front line is you because you don't have a bias for either side. And you're the one that's going to get stuck there. So that's stupid." So I was like, all right. I thought about it for a while. And then a guy named Gary Webb, who used to be a writer for the San Jose Mercury News. And I'm going to put this in quotes, air quotes, so the camera can see and so everybody else can hear. Gary committed suicide by shooting himself in the back of the head twice from 10 feet away.
I heard about him.
Yeah.
He was he had written a book or something like that, right?
Yeah, he was the one that exposed the federal government for selling crack into the inner city.
Yeah, the Ronald Reagan era. Yeah.
And I think it was like 96 or 97. He he committed suicide. And I was like, you know what? Politics is going to be a rough game, man, because if I expose something like that, I don't want to get Gary Webbed.
Yeah,
if I give Disney a bad review, I just don't get invited to Avengers 17.
Got you.
So I was like, I went the route of like sports and politics. I mean, sports and entertainment. And so, I was just like, all right, let's cover some movies. Let's do some stuff that way. And so eventually, while I was in getting my teaching credential, I had just finished graduate school. I was working at a comic book shop, and that's when all the comic book movies started hitting. And I was just like, well, if I'm going to get back into journalism seriously, let me have fun with it and do all this movie stuff and cartoon stuff. So that's how FanBoyNation came about.
Okay, and so FanBoyNation is yours, solely yours.
Yeah.
And how's it doing right now?
It's doing all right, man. April will be 11 years.
Wow.
So time flew. Like I wanted to get into it, and everyone's like, well, where do you start? Because you can't just like start a website and then call up Warner Brothers and go, hey, I want the next Superman movie. And they're like, we don't know who you are, forget you. So what I did was I started with comic books. And so the first two comic book creators or two comic book organizations that opened the doors for me were Boom Comics and IDW Comic. And literally they were 5 minutes apart because I met them at Long Beach Comic Con. So Long Beach Comic Con opened the doors for me to start covering comic conventions. And then those two companies opened the door for comic books.
Okay.
So for like the first 2 months, it was just all Boom Studios and IDW Comics. And then eventually Image came along, and then Valiant and all the other comic companies came along. And then eventually I got DC and Marvel on board. And from there, it opened the door to DC Animation. And once I got DC Animation, that's when all the movie stuff started coming my way.
Okay, so you're doing movies now.
Yeah, we didn't start with movies. We started just with comic books.
Okay.
And then we were the first site that did the comic combat sport crossover. So we were the first ones to start doing MMA.
I met you at Newport Beach Film Festival.
Yeah, you had your very first short film there.
Yes. And I noticed you were at all events. And I'll tell you what, you kind of gave me the bug to step into media because I act, I write films, I design clothes, I make music, I do it all. But I was like, he's at every event that I'm at, like as press. Yeah. So I was like, press has to be a great networking tool.
It is a great networking tool, man. And I've made some great connections like yourself. We met a girl, a woman named Nasreen from Morocco. She came out for the film festival. We met people from England and Ireland and Eastern Europe and Korea and all these great filmmakers internationally that it was like Newport is one of my favorite film festivals. Newport's incredible. Catalina Island Film Festival is incredible. Everyone loves AFI and Palm Springs and Santa Barbara, but like Newport is close to home. It's got that beach vibe, but it's still big. And then Catalina, you know, it's on the island, so you got to have fun with it. San Diego's huge, so there's like a ton of film festivals. Sedona's incredible.
I just did my first one.
Yeah.
I did the Pan-African Film Festival.
Oh, nice.
And I did bad. Boy, oh boy, let me tell you. It was an eye-opening experience. I saw Marla Gibbs on the red carpet. There was
Isn't she like 95 years old?
she was shaking.
Man.
But she did it. I didn't get to speak to her because there's like Marla Gibbs and everybody. And I said, by the time she walks up, she's so like at that stage where I was like, she's not going to do what everybody else did, is walk all the way up and come all the way back down. So I said, when she's gone, they just took her into the theater.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, but I was doing so bad that I'm going to make a documentary about how bad I did. Like, it was bad. It was just bad. Because I was talking about myself. I met Bird from Judge Judy. I didn't know he wasn't a real bailiff.
Oh, yeah? I thought he was too.
No, he's an actor.
Oh, okay.
He's a big guy. He's an actor from Brooklyn.
Okay. I thought he was a legit bailiff too.
Yeah, me too. He was like, hey, don't tell nobody. But I got to tell you, you're the guy who gave me the spark to try that out.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You really did, because when I see a good idea, I like to say, well, that's doable. I just want to do a good job at it.
Yeah.
What were some of the pitfalls that you had? Like,
you know, when we started out, and especially with the name FanBoyNation, like people only think we only do comic books. And then the way we got into MMA is at first they're like, what's your connection with MMA if, you know, you guys are, quote, a comic book site? And I was like, dude, Batman's in the cage. Like, if you ever read a Batman comic, all he did was train to his absolute peak performance so he could beat the hell out of everybody.
Yep.
So look at Michael Chandler. You know, he's going to be one of the captains for UFC, the Ultimate Fighter. You know, Michael Chandler, wrestler, you know, striker. The guy is in peak physical condition. He's never more than 15 pounds out of his weight class, you know, year around. So that 15-pound weight cut is nothing for him. Michael Chandler's Batman.
Got you.
So how can you tell me there's no crossover?
There definitely is, because most of the comic book superheroes look like MMA fighters.
Yeah, they all look like bodybuilders or MMA fighters. So, like, you want to strive for that peak conditioning. Those are your guys right there.
Do you also do concerts?
Yeah, so we just did the Heavy Metal Hall of Fame. So Twisted Sister got inducted.
I saw it. I saw that. I saw you with all these great guitar players and stuff.
That was an incredible night, just hanging out, just listening to these guys jam. I'm like, I couldn't play 2 chords on a guitar and hear these guys that are just masters at what they do. It's funny because there's like the biggest interviews you'll get. So like Morgan Freeman was huge, Salma Hayek was huge, and then I sat there and like I got excited when I got to interview Run DMC. Like to me that was a big deal.
Yeah,
you know?
That's a huge deal.
Yeah.
Let's Run DMC.
Yeah. So like where people are like, oh, it's Run DMC, you know, they're past their prime. I was like, dude, you guys don't understand that these guys legitimize rap music for the mainstream audience.
Yeah.
So.
Weren't they like they were around the time of MTV when Michael Jackson was the first black guy on MTV and Run DMC was
the first rap group, man.
Yeah, they were slightly like right behind it.
Yeah, so like
with Aerosmith.
Yeah.
I remember Walk This Way, like that was like groundbreaking.
Oh, absolutely, man. That's what opened up the doors, you know, like Rick Rubin, as much as people say like they don't like him because he's like strict or he's very rigid. That Walk This Way jam opened up everything for Def Jam Records. It opened up the world for hip hop. It opened up the world for rap music. And here we are today. Def Jam's still going strong. Yeah. American Records is still alive. Interscope Records is out there. So, you know, the entire industry is all hip hop right now.
It just depends on who's looking at that, saying Run DMC's washed up. What I've noticed in today's climate, the young people don't do their due diligence. Nah. They just don't. And I don't think they do it with anything. Being that I graduated for film and this and that. I don't know if it's the access to so much other stuff that you could create your own world.
Right.
When we were coming up, like I had to watch, I was a Bobby Brown fan. I had to watch MTV like all day to wait on his video to come. So that gave me exposure to like Bon Jovi, Wilson Phillips, ZZ Top. Like, so you learn all of these things. And I think that was important for what we're doing right now.
Oh yeah, man. Like you got to study everything. So like, you know, when it comes to being a film critic, right? And people are like, "Oh, this is the greatest movie ever." I was like, "Let's be honest. Citizen Kane is the greatest movie ever. You just can't watch it twice a week." But, you know, shots that Orson Welles created back then we're still using today.
Yeah.
We're using those camera techniques, that shadowing, that, you know, using the smoke to enhance the visuals. So we got that. You go back to Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton during the silent era. Like a lot of those techniques are still being used today.
Well, they set the groundwork.
Yeah. So like if you're going to be in film, you have to study film.
If you're gonna be in rap,
Yeah.
you have to know who Rakim is.
Rakim, Curtis Blow, you gotta go, all of them, man.
That's like one of my first rap records was Curtis Blow, If I Rule the World.
Yeah.
After Billie Jean. That was like my first record was Billie Jean on a 45.
Man.
You know, like yeah. And so it's hard to see the future or make anything that's powerful if you don't know the history of stuff. Like speaking of Michael Jackson, like he studied like Fred Astaire, Jackie Wilson, James Brown. Those are the people who came before him. Sammy Davis Jr. He was able to take that stuff and mold it into being Michael Jackson. All of those are dances and moves from other people.
Yeah, there's no Michael Jackson without Sammy Davis Jr.
Yeah, or James Brown. Is there any platform that you looked at that you kind of molded FanBoyNation off of?
You know, what it was just old school style journalism. Like, I don't like to cover gossip. I don't care who broke up with who. I don't care who cheated on who. I don't care any of that stuff. You know, so I'd look at Leonard Maltin. I love Leonard Maltin, nicest guy in the world. Like when I started FanBoyNation, people were like, this is a dumb idea. Why are you wasting your time? There's so many stuff out there. A year later, I meet Leonard Maltin and his wife, Alice. Alice is like Leonard is the nicest guy, and Alice will say what everybody's really thinking.
Okay.
Right? And she just looked at me, and I was like, yeah, everyone told me it was a bad idea. And she's like, yeah, and you were too stupid not to believe him.
Wow.
And like she said it as a joke, but I'm like, dude, if Leonard Maltin and his wife are telling me I'm doing right, who am I going to listen to everybody else?
Well, I'm here now, and there's 900 platforms out there. But I was like, well, I have an idea, and I'm gonna rock out with my idea.
Yeah.
And I don't really see too many people with this idea. And also, we've had this conversation about when people told you it was a stupid idea, and it wasn't a stupid idea. No idea is stupid.
Right.
You got to rock out.
Well, like I remember someone got on your case. You were telling me this, and they're like, "Oh, your movie's corny. It's bad. It's this." I'm like, "Where's your movie?"
Oh yeah. That was a guy I met at the film festival. He was there, looked like a straggler. I was like,
but he didn't have a movie or anything. So who are you to talk about somebody that completed a project that you're never gonna get done?
And people like my movie.
Yeah, it was fun.
He called me one day. I was up here. He called me. He was like, "Yeah, man, I just called you to tell you your movie was trash." Click. I was like, "Wow, okay."
That's great. Let me know when you get into the Newport Beach Film Festival.
Yeah. He didn't have anything going on, but that just comes with it.
Yeah. What did Christian Bale say? He said you'll never be judged by somebody doing more than you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. People doing more than you will always typically uplift you.
Yeah.
Because they're not threatened.
No. And there's no reason to be threatened, though. Look how big the internet is.
Yeah,
it's still the Wild West.
It's huge. It's huge. Me bringing in creatives is very important for other people.
Right.
This is not for me. This is to inspire the next group of people who want to do something.
Right.
That's why I don't limit it to a certain thing. You're creative. You created something huge. I got another question for you. What is your favorite genre of movies?
Man, it depends on the day. Like yesterday, I was in a Rocky mood.
I love Rocky.
Yeah. So I just sat there and I watched Rocky 1 and 2. You know, and I started 3, and you know, I love 3 because Mr. T was like the guy when we were growing up and stuff.
I like Drago.
Yeah. Oh, Rocky 4, man. Rocky 4 is incredible. But like 1 and 2, like comparing, you know, like asking which do you like better, Rocky 1 or Rocky 2, is like asking which do you like better, Godfather 1 or Godfather 2, because they're so tight to each other that like you don't know which one. It depends on the day which one's better.
I admire Stallone.
Yeah.
For the reason that he was able to take these movies, these single movies, and turn them into like franchises. And the storytelling is epic because he goes from this kid to Balboa to Creed.
Yeah.
Like to be able to just run this thing through like my whole life. Because Rocky started in what, 70 what?
76. And
I'm
it won
born
the
in
Oscar.
78.
Yeah, same here.
And what am I, 44? I'll be 45. So this has been over 45 years of the same story.
Yeah.
The same story. Same thing with Rambo.
Yeah.
Like, as a filmmaker, I strive to do something like what Stallone is doing.
Yeah. Look how it carried on. What's it called? Michael B. Jordan directed Creed 3.
Yeah.
That comes out, I think, March 3rd.
Uh-huh.
And so to go from 1976, where Stallone wrote the first one, directed the first one, starred in the first one, and now technically Creed 3 is Rocky 9. And,
basically.
Yeah. And Michael B. Jordan co-wrote it, he directed it, and he's starring in it. Like, he passed on that legacy.
Yes. That's powerful.
Yeah.
Did you go to the Creed premiere?
No, I'm seeing it tomorrow, and then this weekend is the press day.
Okay.
So
you
that's
going to that?
Yeah, I'm supposed to. It's like Saturday or Sunday, so one of the days I'm supposed to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
When we get out of here, I got to ask you some more questions on this press thing that I'm doing because I enjoy it.
Yeah, it's fun.
I enjoy it.
You know, like, you got to ask unique questions too.
So here's where I messed up.
Okay.
I was talking to the celebrities about me.
That could be your gimmick, though.
I was talking about my film that came out, my IMDb, this and that. It was all about me, and they didn't say anything. They were like, "Oh yeah, like congratulations." They were like really uplifting. They weren't cocky or like this is about me.
Yeah.
Then I heard the girl next to me, and she was asking like some real deep questions. And then, like, she was getting an emotional response out of them, whether they liked the question. Some people didn't like her line of question, and they'd be like, what?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm doing this wrong. So since it was a black film festival, then I said, okay, I asked her, I said, I'm doing this wrong, aren't I? She's like, yeah, I noticed. Since it was a black film festival, I asked why is this festival so important for us? And that question... they just wrote that out. Like, it's important for us because of this, and it's important because of that. I was like, that's a good question.
That's a great question.
And then I ended with, if we had our own version of the Oscars as black people, what would we call it? And that, they're like, oh my, that's a great question.
Yeah.
I don't know, the Denzel or this or that. But I got that question from the comedian Godfrey.
Mm-hmm.
And he says the Portier. So I would be like, what about the Portier? And it's like, yeah, that's deep. And
the Portier, the Belafonte.
the Belafonte.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I didn't even think of the Belafonte sounds real smooth too. Like, sounds like a drink.
Yeah. And then Harry Belafonte, like you, musician, actor, you know, stage performer. So the guy had it all together too.
Yeah. I forgot I do stage.
Yeah.
I started there. What's your favorite venues to cover?
Man, I love the small events. So if it's a small red carpet, so like I was talking to your producer earlier about Comic-Con, like San Diego Comic-Con. Like, I love San Diego Comic-Con. It's huge. But when we get like one of the small animation red carpets and everybody's talking to you, everybody's having a good time, like, you don't have to deal with the publicist just shoving you through. 2 questions move. You know, so I like the smaller red carpets. So they're a lot more fun.
Intimate, I suppose.
You know, when it's a red carpet, I like it. I like the small ones. When it's like a one-on-one interview, I don't care if it's on camera. I don't care if it's audio. Sometimes the audio is better because you just set the recorder down and you have a conversation, and they give you 10 to 15 minutes versus 4 minutes on camera.
Yeah, because the camera could be like kind of impersonal.
Yeah. And so it takes away from it, you know. Like, I got to interview Cheryl Lee Ralph since you were doing the Black Film Festival. I talked to her a couple of years ago. And the whole conversation, like, we barely talked about the show because we were just having so much fun just chatting about life. And then, you know, Jean-Claude Van Damme is probably my all-time favorite interview ever.
Really?
Yeah.
Was he drunk?
No, he was sober,
okay.
man. He was sober. But it's because, so my dad's uncle had just passed away. So Uncle George passed away. And the very first movie, thank you so much. And the very first movie I saw with Uncle George was No Retreat, No Surrender. So that was Van Damme's very first movie.
Which one was that? That's not the one where his brother got beat up, right?
No, that was Kickboxer. This is where he plays the Russian villain that doesn't even talk once.
Okay.
So like this is his very first movie. This is like 1985. And so that was the very first movie I saw with Uncle George. And so I told Van Damme, I was like, you know, my Uncle George just recently passed away, but the very first movie I saw with him was No Retreat, No Surrender. So he leans in, he introduces himself as the Russian character, puts on the accent and everything, and he's like, tell your family we're thinking about your Uncle George.
Oh, wow.
And so I sent it to my cousins and I sent it to everybody. So I was like, so on top of everything, Van Damme is like always going to be like king for me because of that.
Got you. This is a very big interview for me.
Oh, please, man. I'm nobody compared to Van Damme.
This is huge.
Thank you
because
so much.
I appreciate what you did for me. You know, you
made a fun movie that was worth reviewing. You know me. I don't blow smoke. If I don't like it, I don't like it.
And at that festival, every time you saw me talking to somebody, you were like, this guy's funny.
Yeah.
He reminds me of Robert Townsend, which was definitely like, what?
Yeah.
You know, like, that was like an award to hear that, because I don't even think a lot of people are familiar with Robert Townsend right now.
Robert Townsend is so much bigger behind the scenes than he ever was in front of the camera.
Have you ever met him?
I have not, but like, I mean, Hollywood Shuffle, he made that movie, you know? And that's where I saw like your film that kind of reminded me of like how he did Hollywood Shuffle is how you did your short. So that's why I put the Robert Townsend thing in there. And then he did Family, what's it called? The Parenthood and all this other stuff. But he always seemed bigger behind the scenes. Yeah. Like Meteor Man was supposed to be that first like black superhero comedy, but they camped it up a little too much. So they didn't know which audience it was for.
Yeah, I did. Meteor Man. I remember Meteor Man.
Yeah.
Like I don't know which audience it was for too, because it had like that group, Another Bad Creation. So it was like for the kids. Like who is this for? Like
right. And then Don Cheadle was the villain with the blonde hair.
Yeah, it was a little. It was a little.
Yeah. But
extreme, maybe a little.
Like you can tell when the studio put their hand in the movie, and it's like this was supposed to be like a black superhero family movie, and they're like, oh, let's make it for the little kids, and like
it was a little big, like kind of overblown. Yeah, costumes I didn't care for. Like, I love you, Robert Townsend, but that was like a later day Eddie Murphy movie, like you know, not like the old Eddie Murphy stuff.
Right, but I mean, he made so much happen behind the scenes. Yeah, so you got to give him credit for that.
Yeah, he even was I think he was a part of Raw.
Was he really?
I seen his name on the credits, like him, Keenan Ivory Wayans.
Keenan is another one that's underrated.
Yeah, extremely. Those Wayans brothers are genius. Yeah. Have you interviewed any one of them?
I haven't interviewed one of them, but I met Damon a long time ago.
Okay, and he's a brilliant stand-up comedian.
Oh yeah, man. He was testing out some new stuff, so that's when I met him. And this was like 15 years ago, but he was cool, and he was, he's Damon Wayans, like the way you expect Damon Wayans to be, like just super chill.
That was
like
him?
I'm too cool for everybody, but but I'm not trying to be. Like he just is. Yeah. That was Damon Wayans.
Yeah. Do you also like do like comedy shows, this or that? Do you do like backstage or pre-show things like that?
For comedy shows, no, but I've interviewed quite a few comedians, like some up and coming. So there's like this. She's half Russian, half Ukrainian, and she does a show called Make Laugh Not War. It's Anya Zova. So she's an immigrant, and like her story is incredible because she went to law school. Graduated super early, like she was 20 when she graduated law school. Wow. Yeah. And then she became a champion kickboxer, and now she's a comic.
She sounds like a very dedicated person.
Oh yeah.
Like when she puts her mind to something, she's off and running.
Oh yeah, she's 6'2", she's like brunette, gorgeous, and you're like, yeah, this is what I expect from a chick that's half Russian, half Ukrainian. Like we're just going all in.
A kickboxing lawyer.
Yeah, kickboxer, lawyer, comic. So not only if you assault her, she's going to sue you, she'll beat the crap out of you and make fun of you for it while on the same breath.
When you get these like these one-on-ones, how do you reach out? Is it like how we met? Like we met in person, we hit it off, we exchanged information, and then now we rocking and you doing my show and I'll do your show, or
Sometimes it's in person the way you and I got together. Like at a film festival, sometimes it'll be like the publicist hits me up. I got lucky, like now that we've been around and established for a while, they start hitting me up about stuff. And then like if they're up and coming or if it's something that seems really cool, like I'll hit them up on Instagram.
Okay.
More so than Twitter, because Twitter gets lost in that shuffle.
Yeah.
But people check their DMs on Instagram all the time. There's a new comic. She's Albanian. I think she's first generation like me, American. So I think she was born here, but her parents were born in Eastern Europe. My parents were born in the Middle East, but like, so she has that like cross culture humor. I think it's Lorena Jolie.
Yeah.
I'm probably butchering it. Leonardo Jolie, and she's hilarious. Like she's got a dark sense of humor. And some people just like did not get it, but I thought she was really, really funny. So we're trying to set up an interview with her. I like when it comes to interviewing comics, I like up and comers, because like when they get super huge, they don't really want to talk to everybody.
There is I'm looking on my IG now because I sent a message to a former Soul Train dancer.
Oh man,
she started following me after the DMX trailer, and I was like, listen, I would really love to hear your story about being a Soul Train dancer. I think she's a formerly trained dancer because of the stuff that I see her post.
Right.
And I would love to get her on here. I'm trying to get her name. Well, it's okay.
We'll find it. We'll put it in the description, right?
Yes.
Yeah. No, that'd be awesome because like Soul Train was such a huge influence for what,
huge.
30, 40 years?
Yeah, I grew up on it,
So,
and it was around long before I was born.
Yeah, and how many people don't know that the Soul, like they'll go to a wedding and people will do a Soul Train party line, and nobody knows where it's from anymore.
Yeah. Well, that's from not doing the history.
Yeah.
Do you think the internet hurts us or helps us? I think personally, it's a double-edged sword. I think it hurts us because I don't like to say this about people, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think we have a lot of weird people because they're able to create their own world in the internet and not pay attention to anything else going on. Well, wow, in the time we were growing up, you were a part of the world. You had to pay attention to certain things because access to so much was limited.
Yeah.
So do you think that it being so broad, is that a hinder to people?
It's both because you can find everything that you're looking for on the internet. I can find, public domain silent movie from 1905.
Yeah.
On YouTube or on Rumble or wherever I want to look. I can also find hate speech and go see those people. What we said about them. That's all fact right there. Because look at this video. I could also find the opposite side, where it was edited differently, and I was like, nah, you misunderstood what they said, and now people will fight. So the internet, when it's misused, will divide everybody or create an echo chamber where I'm only talking to myself and only people that agree with me, or it will open your mind and educate you better than any university will. And the problem is that people want an echo chamber, and that
they only want to hear what they want to hear. They don't want to hear all sides.
Right. And I try to avoid people the most that sit there and say, I like being with like-minded people. You don't learn anything if everybody thinks like you.
You don't.
You
don't.
I want to meet people from Chicago. I want to meet people from Brazil. I want to meet people from New Zealand. I want to meet people from all these other places. All right, tell me about your experience. What was life like over there? Oh, wow, you're from, Zimbabwe? That's awesome. Oh, you moved from Zimbabwe to China because your dad got a job in Hong Kong? Yeah. Dude, that's an incredible story. Let's hear about that.
Let me ask you, speaking of overseas in different nations, how does your press credentials work in other places? Like, can you do, like, MTV Spain, like...
I haven't tried MTV Spain. I was supposed to go to OzCon before the world closed down. So it was a Comic-Con in Australia. And I have family that migrated over there, after the Iranian Revolution and after the Lebanese Civil War. So, like, my dad was from Iran, my mom's from Lebanon. And so, a lot of the family came here. A lot of family went to Australia, depending how immigration opened up. And so OzCon was going on over there. I was supposed to go, but then, of course, the world shut down. But, the funniest thing is, like, I started getting a lot of Latin press because of all the MMA that I started covering. because for a while our second biggest following was Brazil because of all the MMA stuff. So they're like, oh, you got a Latin following, here you go, here's all the Latin credentials. And I'm like, dude, I don't speak Spanish.
Hold up, you're a fighter too.
Wrestler and judo practitioner. Yeah. So not anymore, not active, man. With my knees, I'm not gonna like sit there and go, hey, let's go do this tournament or whatever.
I got you.
But yeah, I still train when I can. I'm also an announcer too, so I do PA announcing for college and minor league sports.
Got you.
And that was huge when those doors opened up.
Is it fun?
Dude, it's so much fun because like you do baseball and softball and you're just having a good time. You're reading promos, you're announcing the batters. You get to sit there and you watch sports. Volleyball, I'm still learning, but I do some college volleyball, and that's fun learning those rules. Soccer's intense because like when they just continuously do substitutions. So like, I'm so used to like World Cup and international games.
Have you done like any of the big soccer events?
Nah, just college, but college is still big too, man. But like I didn't know at first that in college soccer you can do continuous substitutions because I was so used to international soccer where it's like if number 7 is coming in for number 22, 22's done for the rest of the game.
Got you.
And then the next time out, 22's coming back in college soccer. I was like, wait a minute, I thought you were done. And like, nah, they can sub in and out as much as they want to keep them fresh. And I was like, all right, that's new to me.
Wow.
So, but no, I love that stuff, man. And it's just so much fun because all the training I did was for animation voiceover.
Yeah.
And somehow all that came with sports. And I was like, all right, let's go where the market takes me.
So that's a good thing. How do you feel about like diversifying your skills and getting out there and latching on, like trying as many things as possible until something hits?
I don't have a problem with it. Like my thing is find one thing that you're really good at. Right? So like make that your foundation. So what's his name? Childish Gambino. What's his name? Donald Glover.
Donald Glover,
right?
Yeah.
So Donald Glover is an incredible rapper. He's an incredible writer, and he's a great director.
Yep.
His acting, sorry, Donald, I love you, man, but his acting is nowhere near on par as him being a lyricist.
Yeah.
Right? But he can do it because the rap game opened up the film game for him and the TV game for him. So he got really good in this avenue, and then he showed that he could write, and not only lyrics but story. So that opened it up for him.
You know who I really enjoy is 50 Cent. I really, really, really want to work with 50 Cent.
Dude, that would be incredible. Look how many shows he's got on Stars. He's got, what, 4 shows, and they're all spinoffs?
He just did some deal with Fox.
Yeah.
I really am impressed with 50 Cent. Really, like, extremely.
Yeah.
Because he took it like he's going somewhere else. He's different.
Yeah.
He's extremely different type of monster.
Yeah.
Have you read any of his books?
I haven't read any of his books, but I've watched his shows, and like for him to come up with what he's come up with, incredible.
Like the 50th Laws of Power and this, 50 Cent is a brilliant.
He wrote that with Robert Greene, right?
Yeah.
The guy that did 48 Laws of Power.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh man, excellent material.
All right, I'll have to check that one out.
It'll let you know where your mindset should be, or if it's not there, you need to start working on it. That book inspired me. I listened to it, and I was like, damn, this is good.
Okay.
And I think I listened to it twice. This is really, really good.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, what do you have to say to the next person trying to get where you are or do what you're doing right now?
Be real.
Just be real.
Just be real, because like it's easy to fake it. Like for a while I tried like, that whole, hey, what's going on? Good to see you, like that schmoozing thing, and it's not me.
Yeah.
Like you're from New York, I'm from San Francisco.
Yeah.
And so when something's BS, you got to call BS after a while. And like I tried playing nice, and they know that I'm not like one of them with that schmoozing thing. So they'll only let you get as far as they'll let you because you're not in the scene.
Gotcha.
All right, cool. But you know what? Like a lot of the colleagues would be like, I interviewed so-and-so for this movie. That's cool. I got him for the next one. Yeah, but I talked to him about this one. Who cares? You got that interview. I got this one. Like, does it matter?
I agree with you. Just be authentically yourself.
Yeah.
Because I've gotten most of my connections.
Yeah.
Or, networking is the best when you actually are vibing with somebody and they're accepting you for who you are.
Yeah, don't put on that show.
Not some character you made up that you think that people are gonna like. Either you're gonna like me or not, because that person that you are will eventually come to the surface.
Oh, absolutely. Like you can only be fake nice for so long. And like when I was new, I was like, let's play nice, let's fly under the radar. But after a while, you look at somebody just talking, and I'm like, man, you're full of it.
Yeah.
And like you can't hide that anymore. And your face is gonna betray you. I don't have a poker face. You know. And they're like, we were waiting for this guy to come out. I was like, well, now that he's out, you're stuck.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like for like the first year or two, I played low key.
Just fill it out.
Yeah. And then after a while, I was like, all right, if you guys are going to be, these fake dudes, I'm going to be me. If I don't make it to variety status, oh well.
Well, everybody's got their lane. Variety has their lane. Yeah. This one has their lane. Speaking of 50 Cent, he was talking about some publication. He was like, I don't care about that publication because my Instagram does more numbers than their publication. Yeah. So everybody has their own little space for them. And I think you just have to be happy in your space. And if you don't like it, you find a way to grow it. Yeah. You have to nurture it like a plant. You have to get yourself out there. Like, I signed up to do press at the Oscars.
That'd be incredible, man.
Ah, man, would it?
Yeah.
And this time I won't talk about myself. Like I have to figure it out. But what I've noticed is when they shut down the red carpet, kind of like you're just there. Yeah. You're in the mix. And I was like, man, I'll put this camera away and this Zoom mic away, and then I'm an actor. Yeah. And then I could let people know what I'm doing, and I could find out what's this and what's that, and who is this and who is that. Because I think you use every experience to grow. Yeah. And what have you used FanBoyNation? Where has it taken you?
Man, FanBoyNation opened up the doors to so many places. It opened up the world to MMA for me. Like, covering Bellator and PFL and some UFC stuff, and then, ring announcing for Professional Kickboxer Association, and then all this stuff that comes from it because, like, I feel really comfortable in the fight world, because, like, here's something people don't tell you about fighters. Fighters are the nicest people you'll ever meet because you don't know who knows what. Yeah. All right? You could be having a bad day. How do I know if I'm adding to it and you're just going to snap and lose it? Yeah. I also don't know if if you know how to box, if you know jujitsu, if you know judo or wrestling or Muay Thai or whatever else. And like, this was the last straw and you kick me in the head or whatever, I know what it's like to be that level of physicality and being able to dominate somebody in that route. So I also know how to have to turn it off. So one thing I tell people is that there's civility in savagery. So if you know how to be savage, you know how to be civil. Gotcha. Because I can sit there and mouth off all day long and nobody's gonna do anything, and then one day you're gonna run into the guy that lost it, that snaps, and boom, you're done. Yeah. You ran your mouth too much. So why run your mouth? Gotcha. You look like you're having a bad day. I'm going to be nice to you. You're going to be mad. All right, let's chill. Let's see if we can calm down the situation. Give you some room. Yeah. Yeah. So like that's why I always felt comfortable with the fight game. Like this is going to sound so bad. So I met a voice actor once, and this guy was just a raging a-hole. Just totally and he's just mouthing off to me and mouthing off to me and mouthing off to me. Because like I had just gotten started, and he was getting established. I'm never going to throw his name out there or anything. And he just said something to me, and I just started laughing at him. And he was just like, what are you laughing at? I was like, the fact that I can end your whole career with my thumb right now is what makes me happy. And he had no idea how to react to that. And he just shut his mouth and walked away. Because I'm like, why are you talking to somebody you don't know? Crazy. And you don't know my temperament. Like, I'm not going to, like, jam him in the throat and, like, you know, end his career. But I'm like, if I'm crazy enough, it could happen. Yeah. So you don't know who's crazy or not. No, you don't. Yeah, and especially after being locked down in California for 2 years, a lot of people lost their minds. Yeah, I've noticed that even with the students at college. I'm like, what's wrong with these kids? Like,
they're different. They socialize way different.
Yeah.
They're a little like scary to me.
Yeah.
They really are. I'm like, who's crazy?
Yeah.
They walk around with their head down. They don't make a lot of human contact.
Nah.
Like if you speak to them, they're surprised. Like,
Yeah.
hi. Like it's like, damn.
Yeah, very jittery. A lot of people are very jittery these days.
And that's scary to me. I'm scared because you know, you got to think if you were in lockdown and you were 16 and you turned 18, that's a lot of socializing.
Yeah.
And development that you miss. You basically an 18-year-old, 16-year-old.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm already was 40 something when it started, so I was kind of happy not to be around people until it got close to the end.
Yeah. But like also gaming, you know, I'm not going to rag on gaming. A lot of people are successful professional gamers or have fun as a hobby.
Yeah.
But you're locked down for 2 years and all you're doing is mashing buttons. You know, I mean, there's more to it than that, but you know, for the intent of what we're saying, and then all you're doing is on a headset talking trash to some kid in Korea that's 15,000 miles away. You get in the real world and you start talking like that, you're gonna talk to the wrong person.
Yeah. Let me ask you, what advice do you have to the up and comers, to just the new people? Do you have any words of encouragement?
For the people that are buried in their phones and get surprised when people talk to them, the world is out here. All right? You're at home, you're on the couch, you know, you're scrolling through whatever TikTok, Instagram, you know, whatever social media you're into. Cool, have fun with it. But when you're out here, like we're on campus right now, right?
Yep.
I'm walking around campus. I was like, man, you know how much weight I'd lose if I went to this school, just run up and down all these stairs? You know, like be in the moment.
Yes.
You know, like I was at
Seize the moment.
Yeah, that too. So like Guillermo del Toro, the guy, not Guillermo del Toro, I'm sorry, Jorge Gutierrez. He did Book of Life, you know, Mucha Lucha, all these like great cartoons and everything, right? And we got invited to an event when Book of Life came out. And they brought in this Argentinian singer, like the greatest guitarist and vocalist in Argentina. I forgot the guy's name, which I feel so bad for. And, you know, we're getting this private concert by this world-renowned Spanish singer. And it's one of the songs that he wrote for the movie. And everybody's like this, holding the phone, just watching it on the phone. And I just put my phone down, and I'm looking at this. I was like, I'm never going to get, you know, a guitar solo from this guy again in my life. Why am I going to sit there and just stare at the screen when I can watch the guy do it? Okay, so I missed a couple of clicks on YouTube. I don't care.
Yeah.
I got to see this guy perform. That was more important to me.
Yeah, I got you.
know.
Because it's about the experience.
Yeah.
The experience, the organic experience of watching it with your eyes and seeing how his fingers move and watching the breaths that
Yeah.
Or look, like at concerts, everybody's got their phone in the air.
Yeah.
Like nobody's like, you could have stayed home to do that.
Yeah. I could have watched somebody else's Instagram live feed or whatever.
Literally could have stayed home.
Yeah. No, I'm happy to be at the show. You know, like I got to see Iron Maiden for the first time ever a couple of months ago. These guys are in their 60s. They're running around like they're 12.
Whoa.
Like they have the energy of preteens. And I was like, man, I don't have that kind of energy. And these guys are 20, 25 years older than me.
I think that's with conditioning.
Yeah.
Just like with what you do, what I'm doing, and the things that I'm trying to do, you have to be consistent at doing them so you can get your movement. I'm still early in this interview thing and this press thing, but I think it's important for me to be able to move around. I like it for network, like I said earlier, networking purposes, moving around, being able to talk to people, and why not?
Yeah.
Why
But
not?
are you having fun?
I'm loving it.
That's what matters.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. Like if this was miserable for you, why do it?
I wouldn't do anything I don't like doing.
Yeah. It's not worth it, you know?
No.
Like if you were married and you had 4 kids and you had to do a job that you hated to support the family, that's one thing. You know? If you don't have a family yet, try everything you can to get you where you need to be, and then worry about the family.
I'm always looking at the door to open. Like I need I need to get in places that are exclusive, that nobody else can get into. So I said, when I met you, and then I said, let me take this radio class, this situation. And then I figured out, like, as a matter of fact, is a movie that I was in, my first feature film that I was in. The movie couldn't come out because the guy could not get the music cleared. Somebody called me and told me about this Pan-African Film Festival. And I already had the idea to do this show. Like, this show was something I wanted to do anyway. So I think I started doing this before that festival. And, well, I definitely started doing this before that festival. So the girl calls me. I said, I didn't get an email. I didn't know that you guys were coming out here. Let me go on the website and figure out how much tickets and stuff are. So I go to the website and I see press. I click on it. I go to the professor. I said, listen, I see the credentials that they need. I said, I want to do this. And she was like, you sure? I was like, yeah, I can do it. They had the equipment. I went and bought a Zoom and a mic. Well, I already have mics and stuff like that. So I was like, yeah, I want to do this. And once I did it and I saw how it moved, I said, I need to do this all the time because this is something that's going to help me, propel me to where I want to be.
Yeah.
Because if you're not an established actor, you're not acting every day.
Right.
And even if you are established, you're not acting every day. If you're a rapper, you're not necessarily rapping or making music every day. There have to be fillers.
We were at the Critics' Choice celebration of Latino cinema and television. And Guillermo del Toro, we gave an award to for it. And he said the most prolific thing I had ever heard, and this is one of the most incredible filmmakers you'll ever run into. And he said, I've been in this business for 30 years. 15 of them I've been unemployed.
Yeah. That's just how it runs.
Yeah.
That's just how it goes. That's why most of your successful entertainers, especially in this climate with the internet and everything, you can't be a one-trick pony.
No.
You have to have multiple things going on. You have to, like you, I announce here, I have my website, I do press, I do college, I do MMA. That's 5, 6, 7 things that you do.
And I enjoy it all. That's the thing. If I hated it all, I wouldn't bother.
Yep.
You know, and that's the worst thing about it. Because, like, if I had a family and I had to do a job I hated to support the family, that's one thing.
Yeah.
And I respect anybody that does that.
Well, you have to, and it has to be some love for it. The reward is taking care of your family.
Yeah.
So to get up to do something that you're not particularly fond of, there's still a reward at the end of it, you know?
But as a single man who's never been married that doesn't have children, if I'd locked myself into a job I hated, that's my fault.
Yeah.
So, you know, that is 100% my fault if I locked myself into a career I hated and didn't do anything about it when I had no one else to be responsible for except myself. So enjoy what you can, you know, and do what you can. And then find a hobby. You know, if you like listening to murder podcasts, cool. At least that gets your mind off work or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, take a jiu-jitsu class, take a judo class, take a wrestling class.
Go to the gym.
Yeah,
just go to the gym.
Don't even go to the gym. Buy, what's it called, resistance bands and work out at home.
Go run. Walk a trail.
Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
You got a dog, make sure you walk the dog.
How important is bringing up hobbies? How important is it, you think, to have these outlets of things you need to do? Like, for instance, I started running. I always worked out, but I never was fond of running until I started running. Now I love running. I run from San Clemente to Dana Point on Saturdays.
Yeah.
And like typically during a week, I'll run 2 miles after I work out. And that is a serious outlet for me. Like, it gives me time to think. Or if I have my headphones on, sometime I'll turn the phone and everything off, and I'll just run with my thoughts.
That's very important, man. To be with yourself in silence is very important. So, like, you know, I have a master's degree in theology. So I studied religion, and the Desert Fathers in early Christianity would tell people in urban areas. So whether you in Damascus, whether you in Beirut or Jerusalem, you know, all these big hubs, retreat to the desert of your mind if you can't get out to the desert. So that means turn inward and focus on the interior. Focus on your faith within, focus on your time with God within. You don't have to like run to the desert and be in the monastery. You can do it all internally.
Gotcha.
So what you're doing is something that we've been taught for over 1900 years is tune out the world and tune into who you are and what you need.
You find so much peace that way. You really honestly do.
Yeah. And like forget about the worries. Like, oh, did I, like you go for a run. Did I turn the heater off? Oh, my gas bill is going to be so expensive. Worry about that when you get home. What do I need to fix? What am I working on? How do I find peace? Like, if you're a religious person, pray. If you're a spiritual person, meditate. If you don't believe in anything, find something.
Find something to believe in, definitely.
And go that route.
Something that's not you.
Yeah, because you're going to betray yourself and your thoughts are going to betray you. I could sit there and I could go for a walk on the beach and then just be down on myself the whole time. And what benefit was that walk other than dragging my feet? It feels like I'm wearing lead shoes. Or I could sit there and I'm like, wow, I'm on the beach. It's a beautiful day. The sun's out. It's not raining. I didn't get caught in a blizzard or any of that stuff. And I'm like, I get to enjoy this. So your mindset dictates where you're going.
Yep.
So you choose to be happy today or you choose to be miserable. I'm not telling you, like, hide your feelings and don't ever feel sadness. You have to feel the sadness.
Yes, sir.
But you also have to make time to focus on the positive.
Yes, you do.
And so feel your feelings, all right? But don't share them with the world and then, like, because most of the world doesn't want, what did Dean Martin say in that song, When you're laughing, the whole world laughs with you, but when you're crying, you're by yourself. I'm paraphrasing because, I'm not going to steal his lyrics, but, cry in private, get it all out, and don't let the world see you suffer.
Yeah.
And then, put those shoes on, stand straight up, walk out the house and go, all right, I'm ready.
Gotcha.
One of those things.
Listen, that was a good way. We're out of time.
All right.
Robert, it was excellent having you.
Thank you for having me, man. It was my pleasure.
You ever have something going on? Because this is going to grow.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And once it grows and you have something that's coming up or anything you want to do, reach out, come back, and we'll let the whole world know.
I appreciate it. Jamal, thank you so much, man. It's always a pleasure hanging out with you. It's fun that we got to do this in a professional setting more so than our usual casual stuff. Real quick, couple of plugs. FanBoyNation.com, that's my primary site. FangirlNation.com, that's the other site that I own. They're doing incredible stuff over there. I'm usually hands-off with them unless they need me to do something. So if you want like the female aspect of stuff, FangirlNation.com. You're looking for a great wrestling program, freestyle or Greco-Roman, Orange County Grappling, so oc-grappling.org. They're incredible. Our head coach is Petros Petrosian, Dr. Petros Petrosian, who is currently the world freestyle champion in 80 kilos in the Masters division. So we got some really good company over there in the wrestling school.
See, he just put me on because I forgot to tell a man to plug, FanBoyNation.com. Is that it, Robert?
That's it, man.
See, you always got to be open to learn.
Yeah. Listen, you're doing something right. How many shows have you done so far?
Maybe like 5.
Man, if I'm number 5 and this is how good you are, wait till when it's 105.
Oh, thank you.
So you're on the right path. That's what matters.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah. You're going to make it happen.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
See y'all later. I the Creative.